Hey class. So last Friday, you guys kind of like watched me analyze a mentor text. A mentor text is something that we use as a mentor to teach us how to write something similar. Um, Today, I'm going to ask you guys to analyze your own mentor text. So that way, in class this week and on Friday, and then next week, you guys can pre-write, draft, and revise your one moment in time story. Because if you can't tell your own story, somebody will tell it for you. Now, one of I just want to return to this text. Just a quick review. Last Friday, we relearned what dialogue is. We learned what a dialogue tag is, a dialogue beat, and imagery. So if you want, review the lesson from Friday to take a look at that. But here's the new learning I wanted for you guys to learn. Just really, it's just a review. You guys have been over this before, but what are some good narrative writing techniques that an author might use? So just some good narrative writing techniques, like specific details to describe the setting. So if you go to the very first line here, um, you have scoot over a bit, and you have this one detail that tells you that you're in a child's room. He sits behind me on my Star Wars sheets, the same 70s sheets that once draped over his bed. So it tells you you're in a kid's room. Um, some kind of figurative language, right? Remember, language that's not meant to be taken literally. So, like, if you go back up here, guilt and shame wash through my insides, eroding my composure, ever flowing, brisk and cold. Tears carved tributaries down my cheeks, right? That's not literal, right? The tears aren't literally carving new pathways for a river into somebody's face, right? It's figurative. It's somebody like crying so much that, like, there's the little lines that happen when you cry a lot. If you guys don't remember what that's like, go watch a Pixar movie. I recommend Up. Now, just some other good narrative techniques like varying the pace, right? You'll notice, and we don't have to read it to see, notice how here there's some dialogue that chops up or that starts, and then you have this one paragraph that's a lot of action happening very quickly, and then dialogue again, right? That varies the pace. As a reader, we tend to read dialogue a little bit slower because it's on separate lines. But those block paragraphs of action, we tend to read a bit quicker. Sensory details and specific description. Anytime you can talk about smell, taste, specific sight, um, touch, patting my back, right? Everybody knows that feeling. Tears dropping into the carpet, right? That imagery that's there. Like anytime you can use those kinds of sensory details, solid move. And metaphors to communicate abstract ideas. Um, I know that, oh, well, here's a simile. His cries are almost as violent as my own, right? Oh, here's the metaphor. So the simile is just when you use the word like or as to show two things being similar. A metaphor is where you say one thing is another thing. His eyes are his father's eyes, and his father's, and the entire patriarchal lineage of all fathers, right? So he's saying, like, here, his eyes are not just his eyes, they're everybody's eyes. And that brings us to this one that I skipped before, repetition, right? Um, Creating a motif to focus readers' attention. Over and over again, from the very first line, right? He sits beside me on my Star Wars sheets, the same 70 sheets that once draped over his bed. Um, right? Grabs my arm shaky, but practiced, meaning this has happened before. Um, the sound of his helplessness reflects against my own, mixing our pain into a cacophony of confusion and powerlessness. Like this kind of, right? His eyes are his father's. We're both helpless, unable to stop. And over here, where he says again, where he says he keeps repeating, I'm sorry. Like all of those little things are designed to have that pattern of like two people trapped in a cycle that has been continued by every other man in that family. You know, this story isn't just about somebody getting spanked, although that is the one moment in time. This story is about like how we get trapped in family dynamics and are totally helpless to break out of them. Um, and as always, any other literary devices that you notice, like I didn't put simile on this list, but it works. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to complete the attached document, um, the one moment in time mentor text one document. So before reading, I just want you to like leave a comment, um, You can do it. I just used a keyboard shortcut you can't see. You can right click and hit comment. And I just want you to list like what kind of writing techniques do you predict a good one moment in time essay would use? And as you're reading, yes, I do want you to do this. I want you to highlight dialogue yellow. I want you to highlight dialogue tags light blue. I want you to highlight dialogue beats light green, imagery in orange. And anytime, when you notice a good writing technique, just leave a comment in the margins. Remember, you right click and hit comment to do that. Okay. Um, this, the mentor text we're going to learn from are excerpts from the story, The Beautiful City of Tirzah, which I wasn't familiar with before I started this unit and like talked to Miss Kimbrell, but like I reread the whole story and you can find it at this link. And this is a beautiful piece of nonfiction that's just delightfully written. And it's about a family who like takes in stray animals, and it's about the stray owl that they adopted, and the lessons that the family learns from that. And every single like excerpt is a beautifully written moment in time, and those snapshots blend together to give you this beautiful story. Okay, um, when you're done, all I want you to do is return to the asynchronous lesson, because there might be one more thing I ask you to do. I haven't built it yet. Anyway, I hope you guys learned. Again, what we did was at the beginning of the video, we reviewed dialogue, dialogue tags, dialogue beats, and imagery. And then I taught you guys like some good writing techniques you noticed, okay? I'm gonna actually hyperlink that here, um, so that like you have that list. Um, okay, and keep in mind, the thing I'm looking for completion is that you have made these annotations on this document and that you have returned the asynchronous lesson and answered the Google Classroom question. Okay, that's all I want you to do. All right, I hope this doesn't take you very long, but I do hope that you learn from this, because we're going to use this to propel our writing forward, either on, if you're in the B group on the in-class day, if you're in the A group, then on Friday, we're going to have a little bit more drafting time. Thanks, guys.